Well, the push is on to get major infrastructure projects done, but that requires more energy. There's a federal and provincial effort to ensure that happens. Joining us live now is Energy and Mines Minister Stephen Lecce. Thanks for joining us here live on CP24. No ice cream bar while we do this Q&A like the preview?
No. Well, we can do it with a coffee, perhaps, but that's all okay. I got for you today.
All right, that's okay. No, that's fine. All right, so I know you're big on nuclear power. You talked about this new isotope manufacturing over at Mass University, which is great for cancer detection and treatments as well. But now you're gearing towards nuclear as a main form of energy to help with the energy need that this province will have in the next couple of years.
Yeah, we need to add 4.5 cities of Toronto to the grid. I mean, just to put this into context for people watching, that's a 75% increase in the amount of power we're going to produce between now and 2050. The good thing is, Premier Ford and our government, we have a plan. And yes, it is about leaning into hydro and nuclear power. We're going to go from 50% of our baseload power to 75% nuclear. We are leading the largest nuclear renaissance on the continent. And I want to assure the people of Ontario that we're doing this because the power is reliable, it's 24/7, it's clean, it does not emit, and more importantly, it is affordable. And that's why we're leading the world on this nuclear expansion in Bruce County, at Darlington, at Pickering, and a future site in Port Hope. We're refurbishing our entire nuclear assets because, look, as a Canadian, in a world where the U.S. and many others are trying to flex their muscle and undermine our economy, I'm proud that Canadian technology created here in this country, in this province, is being harnessed for good, creating jobs and obviously keeping the lights on affordably for the people of Ontario. And
how does it work with the other provinces working together as to make sure that this future that you're talking about happens and continues to grow?
So yesterday, we hosted the ministers of energy and mines across the country. We took initiative in this province because we wanted to bring the country together for two imperatives. The first is to make the case to move faster. We're up against a common threat. We see rising unemployment. We see young people not having access to jobs. We've got to get on with building. And in Ontario, we're leading. We showed the ministers of energy across Canada the first small modular reactor being built in the G7. What that means is before the Americans and Brits and French, before the Italians and Japanese, here we are in this province leading the first of its kind that's going to be completed and constructed by year 2029. And I'm proud of that. It's 18,000 jobs. It's a $39 billion infusion to the Canadian economy. That is nation building. And I showed our ministers across Canada saying, look, we can do this together. And these SMRs are being deployed in Saskatchewan and Alberta and New Brunswick to help build out the fleets for them too. So it's a proud moment when we can lean in to technology, to the workforce, and to the resources that we have right here under our feet. So it's another case study that when we work together and collaborate as a nation, we can get big things done. What we also made clear yesterday at this summit is that we need the feds to step it up. I mean, they invested in the small modular reactor program, which is a first incremental step, but is wholly inadequate when this government is looking at a massive expansion of net new big-scale nuclear in Port Hope, 10,000 megawatts, like power for 10 million homes. So, you don't do nation building without doing the big nuclear. That's a $235 billion lift to the Canadian economy. So we're urging the feds, we need you to invest more in these projects. We need you to speed up the regulatory process because a lot of the laws that the feds have created have slowed down our ability to get to yes, to build, to create the jobs. And I think that's a problem. It was a problem before Trump, but now it's an existential threat. Like, we got to fix this and we got to move faster. We're the slowest in the modern economy. And I just think Canadians in this moment expect us to work together, yes, and to work faster to get things done.
That's weird, though, because Mark Carney is a big climate change guy. He wants to help the environment. Nuclear, as you mentioned, despite what people might think about nuclear, is very clean, as you mentioned. It's safe. So how frustrating is it that you have to advocate to the federal government to try to make this happen? It seems like a pretty cut and dry deal.
I mean, look, nuclear power in this country, if you're looking at this from an environmental perspective, it displaces 80 million tons of GHG emissions. that would have been there if we didn't have clean, reliable, affordable nuclear power. You mentioned medical isotopes. Many people didn't know this. I mean, I didn't know this until, not too long ago, that our CANDU Canadian nuclear technology, our nuclear reactors, produces the medical isotopes that are used as a treatment, the radiotherapeutics that are used to help treat literally tens of thousands of cancer patients a year. And so nuclear power is the future. We're leading. We're building it on time and on budget. We're deploying our technology around the world into Poland, into Estonia, and into other markets. We're creating jobs here at home, but we do need the feds to move faster. And look, we appreciate the first step, the first tranche of projects, but there are so many more large-scale nuclear and other projects of importance to the government. I mean, look, the Ring of Fire. All roads lead through our resources. Any one of you that has driving an EV, that's probably an EV battery that came from China. No human rights standards, no environmental protection, no labor protection. No Canadian would want that regime to win the day when we've got the resources right here, ethically sourced, with Indigenous participation and a commitment to help build and drive the clean energy economy. So the Ring of Fire is another example. We want them to invest in the all-season road. We want them to end duplicative assessment. They did their own assessment after the Indigenous are leading their own EA, environmental assessment. So this type of duplication, it didn't make sense a couple of years ago. It definitely is indefensible in a post-Trump world where they're moving in weeks, not years, to approve these types of projects. Right. So the world's changed, and therefore, we think the feds need to move with us. And obviously, we appreciate the collaboration of the government of Canada, but we need them to move with a greater sense of speed. I mean, my goodness, we all saw the job numbers just a few Fridays ago. And for those families looking for work, we've got economic solutions right here at home. Let's fire up the energy supply chain. Let's get people working in good jobs. And by the way, private sector unions are strongly calling for these energy expansions because they create jobs for families and they create stability in our economy. So let's do this. Let's work together.
I understand that. Well, the federal government announcing their budget in November 4th. See if maybe they can, rejig some things and see where the money can lie. Energy and Mines Minister Stephen Lecce, thanks so much. We do appreciate the time.
Thank you.